welcome back to another video on my channel. So I briefly want to talk about ADHD medication again, and I firstly wanted to say that I have contacted my psychiatrist through his secretary. I spoke to my GP, who said that I will have to contact them, and apparently I'm supposed to be having every 6 to 12 months as part of my GP care share of information, or whatever it is. I can't remember what it was called. I'm supposed to be going to see my psychiatrist every once a year or something anyway, and I'm like, did not know that. Okay. And makes total sense really that would happen. And at first I was a little bit like, whoa, I've got to spend £200 to go and see my GP again. To see my psychiatrist again. I don't want to do that. But then I was a bit like, well, actually I did choose to go through the process, mostly because it was harder to go through the GP. I did choose to go through the process that way, and so I accept that. And also I do really want to try this out, and I think it probably would be best to speak to my psychiatrist about it rather than just going with what I want. And hopefully I'll be able to not convince him, but explain to him why I want to do it, and he hopefully will be okay with that and help me through the process. Yeah, so I have contacted the secretary back asking if I can, if he's taking appointments in person. I very much doubt at this time that he is doing that, but I really hope that he is. I don't see why without I could do a test before I go, and I could wear a mask and socially distance. So I don't see why it would be a problem to go and see him in person, and I would much prefer that, because I hate talking over the phone. It just seems like a lot of money to spend just talking over the phone. Maybe he does Zoom calls, maybe, but I just think being in person is a lot better, I feel. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about ADHD and creativity. So I kind of, as you guys know, I've been looking back. I've been looking back on my old, the stuff I used to produce, basically, mostly video and photo content. I say content, I just mean stuff that I've shared, but there's also lots of stuff that I haven't shared online. And what else? My old blog, I used to have so many words to get out into a blog, and I'm trying to start a blog again, and I just have nothing to say. Why is my brain so empty of thoughts that I don't want to put down anymore and to say something out to the world? It's crazy to think about now, to take a step back and think how ADHD medication has changed me. And in some ways I was a little bit in denial of that, because I really wanted, I really saw a big difference within myself from somebody who was really struggling to not really struggling that much at all. And obviously I've always been really grateful for that. Yes, I don't need to struggle with my mental health like I used to, but at the same time it's come with quite a big cost that I kind of I was kind of putting things together. I am still creative. I produce things now more physically than through technology, and technology has always been my preferred way of creating, to be honest. But yeah, I produce things more physically, and I actually get things finished, and I've been able to sell a few things through my crafts. My creativity has been stifled, and I think some of the reasons for that is less thoughts in my head, less ideas, and also getting less distracted by ideas and thought patterns. And I know I still get a little bit distracted by thought patterns, but they're not my actual thoughts. They're coming from an unknown place, subconsciously, I guess, and that's kind of weird to think about. But anyway, yeah, so I think I'm getting off track, but I definitely think that being distracted by little things, putting things together in a way that's never been put together before, is part of what creativity is. Taking different ideas from yourself, or sometimes it can be for others, or you get your inspiration from other people or the world around you, or feelings that you have, and all kinds of different things. I'm putting them together, and I'm seeing all these amazing people who are doing amazing things creative wise, most of who seem to have, or definitely have ADHD, and I'm like, if I were to come off meds fully, for example, I would have all those mood difficulties, and maybe there's a different way to address those. Maybe they wouldn't be so bad, because maybe a lot of the growth I've done isn't just because I take ADHD medication, and how will I ever know what kind of growth I've done unless I actually start to come off ADHD medication and let myself level out a little bit. And I'm not going to deny that it's going to be a struggle to, I don't intend to come off my ADHD medication. I just intend to come down a little bit on my dosages. So I think that ADHD medication does stifle your creativity. I've read up articles on this, and there's even like proven studies to suggest that it does. And so I definitely think that it does have an effect on your creativity. But like I said, I think that there's a balance you can probably have where you can be on a really low dose of medication, or you can take, I've heard, I think it was ADHD Patrick who told me that he takes medication on a low dose in the week, and then during the weekends he just takes a break, because I think he's on a stimulant. So you can do that on that kind of medication, whereas on Strattera you can't really do that, because it's like a build-up effect, like a titration effect that it has on you. So it's going to take quite a while for it to get properly out of your system. Although that might not be entirely accurate, but so I miss being able to express myself through feelings that I have. I used to do that a lot, like that the video that I put up on my channel where I'm in a nature reserve, that's like one of the kinds of videos that I made around that kind of thing. I put that up on my channel. I think that was just before I started taking ADHD medication that I made it, but I can't exactly remember. But like having those feelings of passion, and then having like the opposite feelings of like quite emptiness and things, that like the emptiness was sort of like, and the boredom and everything was kind of like what I wanted to get rid of, and by taking ADHD medication it has lessened that considerably. But it also fuels into my creativity, and I don't have any of those feelings to fuel into creativity anymore. I have little desire to create like I used to do, and whether I was creating just because, I don't know exactly why. I'd have to think about that a lot more. But I just thought I'd make a little video talking about that, because I think it is something that people have real concerns about, and I'm still in a position where I think ADHD medication is really amazing for, breaks from your chaotic brain, and not also that, but it can help us cope in situations in our lives, and in our day-to-day lives, and living in this modern world. I definitely think it can help us cope with that, and it can help improve our mental health. So I think, it swings and roundabouts, really, is what I'm trying to say. And I hope to get to a place where I, have a bit more of my creativity back. Maybe not to the extreme extent, because along with that might come, because it has done before, I'm not saying it will again, might come like depressive states, and really struggling. But I'm really interested to see where this is going to take me. I think that I have turned out to be like a much more emotionless person, and in some ways that's a relief, in some ways it's it can be damaging as well, and like having the motivation to actually go and create things and have that passion and drive is something that I lack now, which is why a lot of my videos are just me talking to a camera. And I've tried to go the more creative route, but just hasn't got there. I just haven't been able to get there. So I thought I'd just share that. And I still encourage people to get to try medication, and then you might realise the same thing and you can go back on it. You don't have to stay there forever, but just, I think, make a note, I think, would be my advice, that if creativity is something that you feel that your ADHD gives you, and you don't want to lose that, or you don't want to lose too much of that, then write it down somewhere so you can look back on that in years to come, or in months to come, or weeks, or whenever, like after trying medication and being like, actually I do, you know, I miss part of myself. I don't want to lose too much of myself, and I think that's an important thing to do, which is why I've been starting to write down thoughts that I have, just like a couple of thoughts a day that I have that I don't want to forget about. So yeah, that's today's video. I hope you guys are well. I will update once I have my appointment. I think it was probably best to do, and yeah, I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you again in another video.